What's up, nation? AJ Riley here with Eric Vincent for your favorite Detroit sports show, Beyond the Box, where we talk about all things sports and love to have conversations with you, the fans. We are coming off of a Super Bowl hangover, and what a Super Bowl it was, man. That was fun.
It was.
That was fun. I was a little nervous after the first quarter when it was just 7-7.
Yeah.
But I told the people I was with, I was like, listen, if you got squares, know your numbers because the
yeah.
score's about to change real quick and quite often. And it did, and it lived up to the billing. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about 5 NFL players that need a Super Bowl to kind of course correct their career in a way. And then we want to get into a little bit of Pistons talk about the James Wiseman trade that happened, didn't happen, is happening. Maybe he's a Piston. Maybe he's not a Piston. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? We talked about it a little bit last week. We want to dive into it a little bit more, and then we will end the show with our favorite segment of Who-Rah and Who Cares. So, Eric, let's talk about the Super Bowl. You officially completed the sweep on me during this football season. You did it.
I'd like to thank the Academy. It's been a hard-fought season. Fantasy football didn't go my way, so I needed this in every way possible.
And you got
I'm taking my victory lap.
Yeah, congratulations. You swept our 5 games a week during the regular season. You did way better than me in the playoffs, and you were correct about the Super Bowl. And you darn near got the score right, too.
This close, man. I was this close to nailing the score. I said 38-31 last episode, 38-35 final score. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I was going crazy.
I was sitting there. I was like, man, the Eagles, there's no way they could lose this game, especially the way they played in the first half. They played probably as good as they could have played in the first half. That was pure dominance. I mean, at one point, Patrick Mahomes, towards the end of the first half, had only been on the field for 8 minutes. Did you see that when they put that up, time of possession? Not that I think time of possession matters, because that was fairly clear, right? Very clear that time of possession obviously didn't matter as much, just who scores more points at the end of the game. Yeah, I'm still holding. Right. What was the score at halftime?
Let me get it. Can we get into that? Can I give you my takeaways from it?
Sure, I'm waiting for you to.
Because there were 3 things I took away. 2 were obvious, and then there's 1 that we're going to look for.
All right.
Pat Mahomes is an all-time great.
Yeah, he's really
He
good.
is now. At this point, it's not even a discussion.
Okay.
Coming in, playing against the circumstances that he had to deal with, he's solidifying himself as an all-time great.
Sure.
Still ain't gonna put him number 2 on the Orlovsky list, but he's getting close. He's tracking very well. 2, Jalen Hurts balled. We're not taking anything away from what he did.
No.
He outplayed Mahomes to an extent.
Yeah.
What he was able to play with his feet, and they stopped using his feet in the second half, which went to their advantage. And that was very bizarre on the Eagles' part. But my favorite takeaway was what you just said.
Oh, yeah.
Time of possession absolutely matters, my
why?
friend.
Tell me why it matters.
That was the reason they were able to build a 10-point lead in the first half, because they kept that explosive offense on the sideline with running the ball, playing keep away, and moving the ball methodically, moving the ball on 3rd down, keeping him cold on the sideline. They only had I think it was 36-24 time possession. They only touched the ball for 9 minutes in the first half or something like that, or 9 minutes in the first half, something ridiculous. And it proved that clearly when you play keep away and use time of possession to your advantage, you can build a lead. Now, they went away from their game plan in the second half, but the first half showed that time of possession absolutely matters.
Who won the game?
The Chiefs won.
And who had more time of possession?
The Eagles did.
Yeah,
because they went away from their game plan.
Yeah. So does time... I mean, they had the ball for 35 minutes. The Chiefs had it for 24.
Right.
And who won the game?
The Chiefs won.
Because they scored more points. They were more efficient.
Yeah, and they were also
And I get the game plan aspect of it, and it worked out well.
Right.
And they were aided by the Jalen Hurts fumble that turned into a scoop and score. But at the end of the day, those 21 minutes that they possessed the ball in the first half, opposed to the 8 minutes at Kansas City. Yeah, it helped them build a 10-point lead,
Yeah.
but
They
it
just didn't
didn't win them the
sustain it.
game.
But it
It
mattered in
didn't
the
win them
first
the game.
half.
Sure.
What did you think in the first half? When they had that 10-point lead, what were you thinking was going to be
When
the
they
result?
put up that graphic about time of possession, I was like, "Oh crap, I'm gonna hear about this tomorrow."
Right, yeah.
I knew I was
Yeah,
going
right.
to,
That's right.
but then I was proved again right that time of possession is overrated.
No, you weren't.
It's entirely overrated. In 24
It's
minutes,
not.
the Chiefs scored more points than the Eagles did in 35, and that's what won them the game. Plain and simple.
They won the game because they couldn't score in the second half.
And
they were messing up in the second half. Their defense was getting picked apart. They couldn't get no rush on Mahomes. Time of possession was absolutely playing a factor. It just didn't matter because Mahomes was capitalizing on drive after drive after getting hurt in the second half.
It didn't matter. Time of possession ultimately didn't matter.
You couldn't be more wrong about this.
They had the ball for 11 more minutes and did nothing with it.
And they were kicking they behind in the first half because of it. That offense looked lifeless. Travis Kelce even said it during the postgame. He said, we didn't come out and play the way we wanted to because they controlled the tempo of the game.
Sure, they controlled the tempo. But all I'm saying is, at the end of the day, you can game plan around that, but you're not going to game plan around holding the ball for longer as opposed to scoring more efficiently.
I promise you that was Philadelphia's game plan.
That's been their game plan. They've been a running team.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it didn't work in their favor. It's not the team that possesses the ball the longest that's going to win a game.
Because they didn't play to that same plan in the second half. If they would have did that, they probably would have won the game.
Maybe. You don't know that.
They stopped running the ball.
They
Miles
did.
Sanders
I don't
got
know
quiet.
why they stopped doing that. But at the end of the day, and I'm going to keep saying that, the score was 38-35 because Kansas City was more efficient. And they scored when the opportunity presented itself.
Sure. But they had every opportunity to shut the door.
I will readily admit that their dominance in the first half was a direct result of keeping the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands.
Yes.
But the way that you're not game planning to say, I want a higher number in the time of possession.
Yes, you are.
No, you're not.
Yes, you are.
You're
when
just
you're
simply
facing
not.
Pat Mahomes, that's exactly what you're saying.
You want to sustain drives. I'm with you.
Yes.
I get it. But at the end of the day, you also want to... But the Eagles were also capitalizing on their drives, which they did not do in the second half, which mattered. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
It's not how long they possessed the ball. It's the fact that they were actually capitalizing on those drives.
To an extent, yeah. They were just running different plays, so they weren't even trying to use time of possession to the advantage. Look at the last play. The time of possession was literally what the Chiefs were trying to do. They said the Eagles are going to let them score. They said, oh no, we're going to burn the clock and make you run 8 seconds worth of plays to try to get down here.
What a terrible last play that was. I don't know what they were doing.
That was hard.
I don't know why, that was going to be a 75-yard pass that ended up being a 50-yard pass at best.
Ugly. It was ugly.
Can we not get a few hook and laterals and run through the band and all this other stuff that's going on because people think the game is over? It was kind of anticlimactic, to be honest with you, for it to end that way. I wanted to see the athletes in space. I wanted to see him pitching the ball around. I wanted to see him moving. I don't know. I don't know.
We do agree on the most important play, or one of the most important plays or calls of the game. The penalty that everyone keeps crying about.
Can we stop with this?
We're on the
guy made a right call. He made the right call.
There. Good. Yes.
Nick Sirianni said it. Bradbury said it. He said, listen, he held him. It was a penalty. Regardless of what Greg Olson said, it was, and even Mike Pereira was like, listen, man, that's getting called 10 out of 10 times. Come on, Greg. The magnitude of the game and all that other crap.
Tired of so sick of that. I hate that argument. Oh, just let him play it out. No, you don't.
For as much as the refs get shelled, and they should in a lot of instances, specifically the whole Joey Bosa thing, right? Mm-hmm. The dude did his job, and he should be celebrated that he made the right call. Yes. That's a hard call to make at that point in the game.
Absolutely. But again, he held him twice so it really wasn't that hard of a call to
No,
make.
it
It's like,
was
oh,
not.
it's Bradbury too. That's his thing. He's a grabber, so
Yeah.
it wasn't a surprise.
Well, Eric, the Super Bowl is great. It puts a pin in the 2022 season. It's over. The Lions had a successful season. It was a fun season. All the way around. But we looked to 2023. Now the draft coming up in April. And then OTAs are going to start. And then training camp's going to start. And then the season's going to kick off again in September. Who in 2023, I want 5 players. We'll each give you 5 players.
Okay.
What 5 players could desperately use a Super Bowl to course correct their career?
Man. Okay. I'm gonna go.
And I think we just go back and forth.
Yeah.
We just go back and forth.
Let's do that. I'll go.
And if we have duplicates, we'll just cross them off. And we'll just say, yeah, I agree. I had that one too.
Okay.
So why don't you start? Who is your... And let's like power rank them. So who needs it the most? That's your number one guy. Your number one guy.
Okay. All right. The most... You know what? All right, fine. I know my most. My most is the fraud in Green Bay that's going on this 4-day quiet retreatment to decide if he wants to be traded or not. It's got to be Aaron Rodgers. It's got to be. I've never seen someone live on the high of one Super Bowl, a few MVPs, and a lot of other fraudulent seasons where he hasn't been what people bill him to be. He needs some more Super Bowls to attach to this so-called great resume that he has. Like, with Mahomes coming up, with all these young guns rising in the NFL, he needs a lot more to polish on his resume. Aaron Rodgers has to be number one on my list.
I'm starting to secretly think that you're a fan of Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
because you can't stop talking about him on this show.
But it's hate,
you
though.
Can't do it.
As long as it's hate, it don't matter. I'm not praising the man. You ain't ever gonna hear that from me.
Just give him more run, more airtime. Just continue to just, okay.
Bulletin board material, whatever. Use it. Watch Beyond the Box and then come shout us out after.
My number one guy that I think needs a Super Bowl desperately in 2023 is Derek Carr. Wherever he goes, because he will not be a Las Vegas Raider next year.
Right.
Wherever he goes, I just think it would be perfect, like poetic justice for him to land. He's going to get to sign where he wants to. More about that later. Mm-hmm. And I think wherever he goes, I think it would be huge for him to just be able to go, yep, won a Super Bowl. Like, big middle finger to Las Vegas. Screw you guys.
Do you have an idea where you think he's going to be? Because there's a lot of open spaces for him to go.
I have not thought a lot about it. I would like to think a little bit more before I give that answer.
That's fair. We'll come back to that.
I can't even remember where I've seen him. The Jets I've seen him go to.
Jets, teams in the NFC South.
Yeah, the Saints.
Yep.
Tampa Bay obviously needs a quarterback now. Carolina could potentially use him.
Could be. There's a lot of options for him.
I would not be opposed to the Lions signing him and creating controversy.
Look at you. Just trying to get people started. Look at you.
Yeah, just trying to.
It's going to be flooded. We don't need it. We have it. Okay. All right.
I know. But
all right, Golf Army, we got it.
We get it. And listen, I'm okay if Goff's quarterback next year. Just don't extend him.
That's
Who's your number two?
Number two for me, I'm debating between the two. You know what? It's fine. Yep. Number two is Josh Allen. I was going back and forth with somebody else. You had him as well?
I did it.
Yeah, it speaks for itself. I mean, this was supposed to be the year that he was putting it together. There's no Tyreek in Kansas City. You bring in Von Miller, and he's supposed to be taking a step forward as your franchise QB with the money you just paid him. And he did not look like that MVP candidate that people thought he was going to look like. Myself included. I put him up there. So he has to have some pressure on him for next season. He got to at least get there. Like, he can't keep coming up short and playing bad the way he has been. Josh Allen got to rewrite the course of his career right now.
That's a good one. I had that as well, so I'm not going to rehash that. But for all the reasons you said, yes. Okay. Number two on my list, Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek wild cards out here. Okay.
Yeah, I know. And here's why. Forever, the triumvirate of Kansas City was Kelsey, Hill, and Mahomes.
Right.
Well, guess who has 2 Super Bowl rings now? Kelsey and Mahomes.
Mahomes.
And guess who they didn't need to get there and do that? Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
The brilliance of the Kansas City Chiefs and the way that they run their franchise was seen in that move that they made. Did they give up a really good wide receiver? Yes.
100%.
But wide receivers are a dime a dozen, and they're expendable. You do not pay top dollar, high money for a wide receiver if you want to compete. I don't believe in it. They're expendable.
Yeah.
It's the least valuable position on the football field because of how many things have to go right for them to be able to do their job. It's the least valuable.
Yeah, you might have. I don't know if I agree with least valuable position.
It's the least valuable position. I will argue that until the day that I die that it is the least valuable.
No, not in a passing league. It can't be. It cannot
Tell
be
me
the
why
least
not?
valuable position. Because it's a
What good's a
passing
good
league.
receiver if you don't have a quarterback?
I agree with
What
that.
good's
But
a good-
he has to
what-
catch the ball, doesn't he?
What good's a great receiver if you don't have an offensive line?
I agree. But even if that goes well, say you get the protection of the Lions that they had this year, and a Mahomes in there, but he's throwing to me, and I drop the pass. You gotta upgrade at the position then. So I mean, granted, you have an all-time great with Mahomes, so you can kind of make things work. But I don't know if I can call it the least valuable.
What would be a less valuable position?
Kicker, punter.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
come
really
on, man.
late. Yeah, it was really invaluable last night to the Chiefs, wasn't it? Yeah,
You can't say
okay.
that the
Just won them a
receivers didn't matter
Super Bowl.
either. Sure, but almost lost in the game too. But so do receivers. Receivers make differences in plays.
What receivers for the Chiefs last night? Kelsey made an impact. Pacheco, McKinnon.
Juju had some nice catches in the third quarter.
Some nice catches. Anybody could have made those catches.
Okay.
Come on, man.
Now we skirting off. Okay.
I'm just saying. Go to number 3. Yeah, that's a
get to
debate
that
for
later.
another time.
Yeah, we'll talk about
It's a
that when we
debate
get
for
to
another time.
It's a good draft talk conversation.
Sure.
Um,
That's why you don't draft James
you know what?
12. But
Yeah.
we'll continue.
you just try to get everybody mad at us today.
I am. I don't know. I didn't sleep much last night.
You go with wild card, so I'm gonna go with a wild card. We said players, but I have a coach that I think really needs one.
All right.
Bill Belichick, you got to get things together, bro. You listen. I don't like Tom Brady, so I've been defending you. I've been saying he deserves the majority of the credit. He was bringing home the groceries and putting everything together in New England. Brady's had his success. You are going backwards at this point with Patricia, with how you set up your defense, how you set up your offense with overpaying receivers. They got to get it together immediately.
Overpaid receivers?
Yes, overpaying bad receivers. Yes.
Oh, yeah,
no
right.
talented receivers. Yeah. So he got to get it together. A
Make
Super
my
Bowl
case for me.
A Super Bowl has to come for him in the next few years, I think, in order to get some of the stench off of Belichick right now.
I don't think it's happening.
I don't think so either, but he needs it for sure.
Because he needed Tom Brady. If you remember, he got fired. He got fired in Cleveland because he was not winning.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would not be where he was had Drew Bledsoe not got hurt.
That's true.
Because if Drew Bledsoe's not hurt, they don't win as much as they did.
Mm-hmm. I'll agree with that one.
So the Patriots' success was built solely on Tom Brady. And because of Tom Brady.
I mean, he did get them top 10 defenses and, weapons of work for Brady. But yeah, sure. It's all Brady, sure. All Brady.
Yeah, Deion Branch was his weapon. Come on.
Well, MVP. I mean, what are we talking about?
Brady just proves the case that you don't necessarily need valued receivers to win. He made Julian Edelman. He made Deion Branch. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, man.
You can say, okay, but then you can make the argument, would you say that Kirk Cousins makes Justin Jefferson?
No, Justin Jefferson makes Kirk Cousins.
Right, so valuable receivers or good, high-talented, elite receivers can raise the play of your team, of your quarterback.
They can bail them out, sure. And I'm not saying that you don't want, top talented wide receivers. You don't pay top dollar for those talented receivers.
If you say that, if your
That's all I'm
argument
saying.
is there's a cap for the receivers you want to pay, fine. To say that they're the least valuable
No,
position in the league
because
is
they're the
crazy.
least valuable position. On the league.
You're wild.
No,
that
I'm
one.
telling you,
You're
I'm not.
wild
We will
with
have
that
the
one.
debate at some
That's
point, and
fine.
I will prove it to you.
That's cool. We'll come back to that.
Okay, so you already took Josh Allen from me, so I'm going to steal one that I know is from you, and I think Joe Burrow needs a Super Bowl. He's been in the playoffs a couple times, made it to the Super Bowl. Still young, but the swag also needs to be backed up a little bit. You can't really be Joe Cool until you're sitting on the mountaintop as Joe Cool, right? Best runner-up. Ask Dan Marino how that's gone. So, Joe Burrow needs a Super Bowl next year. Who you got for your next one?
I love that one. I'm all for that. My last one is somebody I want to see do well, but maybe not with the team he's on. Dak Prescott needs a Super Bowl soon.
Oh no!
I can't cheer for Dak as a Dallas Cowboy, but I do like Dak a little bit. I don't think he's got to clean up with these turnovers. A lot of the underachieving that's happened with this team. A lot of that falls on him. So with the money you paid, with getting hurt the way you have, and really with how they've laid out, like they took away Amari Cooper to suit your contract and to like kind of bring other guys make it productive, but that's not working. A lot of pressure is on Dak Prescott. He really could use a ring next year.
That's a good one. I don't want to see it happen ever.
Me neither.
Ever, because the Cowboys.
They don't deserve it. They don't deserve anything good.
Here's my final one, and then we're going to switch to the hardwood, okay? Course correcting a career. I don't know if there's a career that fell off the rails worse this year than Russell Wilson.
Woo! Yeah, Russ.
So if you're ever going to course correct a career, Russ Bus and Broncos country, let's ride.
Yep.
Needs to actually ride.
Yes.
So you got Sean Payton. I put him last on my list because, I think if they just actually start winning, that will help.
Right.
Not, it's Super Bowl or bust for the Broncos, but you can't talk about course correcting a career with a Super Bowl without adding Russell Wilson to that list. It's just...
They were supposed to be a quarterback away, and now you got Sean Payton. They got to be close. You got to get close to a Super Bowl soon.
Yeah.
I'm with that.
For sure.
Good picks.
So we're going to transition from that. That was a good conversation.
I thought so.
I think so too.
Outside of your slander of my position in high school, but it's all good.
You know what? I feel like the one that's being attacked here though. You attack me on time of possession. You attack me on the doggone wide receivers, and you're just trying to make me feel intellectually inferior, and I don't appreciate it.
I think the beard is making you sensitive, man. We gotta shave that down.
If anything, it's the opposite.
Oh, it's making you more stone cold? Okay, fine.
Ready to go. Let's transition. There was a trade that kind of happened, didn't happen, maybe happened. We don't really know what happened with the 4-team trade in the NBA, the Detroit Pistons being involved with the Golden State Warriors, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Portland Trail Blazers. A whole bunch of movement, a whole lot of moving parts, and James Wiseman's a Piston. I think that's all that matters, right?
Yep.
Sadiq Bey went to Golden State, flipped from Golden State to Atlanta for 5 second-round picks, and then Kevin Knox was then traded from Golden State as well to Portland for Gary Payton Jr. Whew. Yeah, I feel like Rain Man or Zach Galifianakis when he's doing the math numbers there.
You did good, man. You did good.
Thanks. Except for the Alex Burks, but that's okay. At least I didn't call him Kevin Garnett this time.
It's okay. Right, yeah, see? That's progress. That's good.
That's progress. Good. Is this a good trade for the Pistons? We kind of touched on it a little bit last week. It kind of fell apart, and then it came back together. So James Wiseman is going to be a Piston, and I think it's a good move. I know you don't, and you're probably going to again attack me for my position and all of that. But here's what I'm looking at. You have a 21-year-old kid who is highly touted out of college. Did not fit in Golden State, as I mentioned last week, but I'm going to keep pounding that point because his rookie year, he averaged 21 minutes a game. Then he got hurt last year, so he did not play. He was out with the knee. Okay, I get it. People get hurt, right? This year he comes back. He's played in 21 games. He's only averaging 12 minutes a game. They're not using him the way that he should be used. And now he's got an opportunity to be used and get some real minutes.
Right.
So maybe it's a change of scenery type situation for a young kid who, according to, the efficiency rating, is actually above average in the efficiency rating. More than Saddiq Bey was. Saddiq Bey was below league average in efficiency rating.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
You have length, defensive rebounding. Oh, and by the way, as you pointed out to me earlier, Jalen Duren's injured.
Yeah, breaks my heart. Truly breaks my heart.
So maybe Troy Weaver has a crystal ball, and he saw what was happening and what was going to happen with Jalen Duren and said, I need to get Wiseman. Because then next year I can take Wiseman and Duren and Stewart and Ivy and Cunningham. And that's a formidable 5, depending on where you fall in the lottery, because then you also got Victor as well that could be there and replace Stewart. Just a thought. Just a thought. Because you could have Wiseman and Duren on the floor at the same time. The length of that lineup would be insane.
It is. And I'm just, first of all, let's just say I'm happy that that's finally announced that the trade is happening. Like, okay. The whole dilemma with Gary Payton Jr., the second, failing his physical, and Golden State maybe filing a grievance with Portland and all that, I'm happy that's finally all resolved. Now, to get to the trade and how it affects the Pistons, I think there is value. I think there is upside with James Wiseman. I'm not going to deny that, especially considering, like we just said, Duren's hurt. They need length. Like, playing beef stew at their 5 cripples this team. Yes. You cannot have a bunch of guys 6'8" and under. Like, that just doesn't work in today's NBA.
This is not the go-to-work Pistons.
Now, the problem with that is, though, I think even if you play Duren and Wiseman together, you're still missing shooting. You're still missing experience. You're still missing, like, a solidified role for him because he can't shoot. He may roll and be a lob threat, but if he's, banging and clogging up space for Duren, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing because neither of them, like Duren has a good shooting motion, but doesn't shoot perimeter jump shots that often. So there could be an issue of them clogging the paint. And my biggest problem with this is the Detroit Pistons have a habit of going for these cast-off players that didn't fit where they originally were, and now we're giving them the rebirth. Kevin Knox in New York, Marvin Bagley in Sacramento. We're doing the same thing now with Wiseman here in Detroit. We did the same thing. We tried to get Bol where he couldn't get no minutes in Denver. Now he's up there making great things happen with Orlando. We almost got him, couldn't make that happen because of a similar situation. Rodney McGruder failing his, Bol failed his physical. But the Pistons are in a position where, yes, it's a rebuild, but they need to start bringing in and keeping guys that are established, Bojan type guys like Alec Burks, to pair around Cade Cunningham. Saddiq Bey, I think, was a good friend of Cade. So it worries me on how that touches him as a player and as his teammate. But if Wiseman shows that he's him and that he fits with this team, I'll be the first one to admit it. I'll give him his credit. I'll give him all the flowers he deserves. But I am very apprehensive, and I'm not yet sold that this is a good move for the Pistons. I'm not sure yet, honestly.
There's got to be something that's said about the whole cast-off thing, right? Because there's a lot of people that, like, that's the complaint. Oh, we keep taking everybody's cast-offs. We keep taking everybody's cast-offs. Well, at a certain point, like, number one, you're not committed to too many years and too much money, first of all. Because you don't have to re-sign them.
No.
What if that change, especially in a rebuild where you literally have nothing to lose except for basketball games? You're not winning basketball games this year.
Right.
Why would you not acquire that? See what you have and then move from there.
Because here's the problem.
hold on, I wasn't finished.
Okay,
Because
my bad,
that's
go ahead.
almost that's essentially what the Detroit Tigers are doing, right? To not shift sports completely, but the Tigers this offseason had a quiet offseason by a lot of fans' standards. But if you look at what their GM said he was going to do, he was going to acquire young talent and develop young talent, which is exactly what he did, which made it look like he was acquiring a bunch of teams' cast-offs.
Right.
But now they have great organizational depth. Now they have the ability to develop those players. So now we're talking about the Pistons that have now two very young, lengthy centers that could develop into being a pretty formidable, like, twin tower situation if necessary. If they develop into that. If not, you've got Dern as your number one guy and Wiseman off the bench, and he could be productive off the bench maybe. I just don't see the negative in getting rid of an inefficient player. Yeah, I get the connection to Cade, and I get all that. And acquiring a young talent that was out, he was a puzzle piece without a puzzle.
Yeah.
In Golden State.
I feel like Wiseman and Sadiq, they were both in situations where they weren't going to flourish at the top of their ability. So I think Sadiq going to Atlanta is fine. I'm not going to miss him. I think he played himself out of the rotation. But my problem is this. Dwayne Casey and Troy Weaver have come out and say that they don't look at Wiseman as like some stopgap player. They think that he's somebody that can be built around long term. If there's a question of the fit, because again, you're going to need somebody to shoot at that stretch four position. They need that. And if they're clogging space, that's going to be a problem as well. That could be troublesome. And I'm just curious to wonder, how patient are they going to be for another project type player like him, for a player that you didn't draft? Like, there's a little bit to say with that. Like, you see guys like they extended the lease for guys like Killian. They want to make Beef Stew work. Like, you see GMs and front offices stay tied to the players that they draft and bring in. He's not that. He's a good player that has upside, but I worry about the length of his development timeline and how that's gonna coincide with the winning that's needed for this team. Like that, I'm not sure how that lines up yet. I need to see it before I actually believe it real quick.
So, if I'm understanding correctly, according to Spot Rack, he has 2 years left on his deal.
Yeah.
He's got next year, and then he'd be a restricted free agent in 2024. So he's really got this season and the rest of next season to kind of prove something,
so
right?
Like a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah, so like a year and a half. I think that's adequate time to see what you have and to make a determination. I don't think you have to extend him in order, like, you will know within a year and a half whether he really is somebody you're going to build around or not.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know if we're going to totally get those answers yet. With Cade not being there, with Jalen Duren, we don't know how long he's going to be off the floor.
This season's a wash, but one season's enough to tell you. I think that you got plenty of time. You're not extending him unless he balls out.
But if he does it, then you just kick him to the curb, and you don't want to see that being another
What if you
player.
lost?
Like, what do you mean? What if they lost?
No, what if you lost? If you end up, didn't work out, we don't re-sign him after next season. What's been lost?
You allegedly, well, not allegedly, but you arguably moved out of the three players in the 2020 class, Killian, Sadiq, and Beef Stew. Sadiq had the highest upside of all those guys. So you moved him for a guy that you only kept for a year and a half that doesn't mesh with your lineup. You're in a position where you need to start winning as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And I don't like this constant repetition of getting these project dudes that may or may not pop off. Like, I'm sick.
Yeah, and eventually the rebuild has to end. So I'm with you there.
Yes.
I'm with you there. Like, you can't just continuously reclaim projects and expect to ever rebuild something. You have to actually move forward.
Yes.
I'm with you there. Let's wrap up the show with Who-Rah and Who Cares. We got 5 minutes left. We're gonna knock it out. Who-Rah and Who Cares. Eric, who do you want to shout out this week?
My Who-Rah goes to someone that you almost jinxed, and it almost came true. My Who-Rah goes to Harrison Butker. He was this close to being the GOAT of the entire game. He misses a field goal in the first half. They get a double-digit lead put on him by Philadelphia. And if that kept building, we might not have seen Butker kick anything for the rest of the second half. Maybe they would just kept going for 2 at that point. And he finally gets his glory moment to make up for it with a game-winning field goal. He is wiping all those sweating bullets on his forehead, and I'm happy for him. So shout out to Harrison Butker.
My hoorah goes to somebody who didn't play in the Super Bowl last night, but who I've talked about previously. My hoorah is Derek Carr. Congratulations on not... Yeah, I guess so. Okay. I cannot be more proud of him for telling the Raiders, you're not trading me. I'm exercising my no-trade clause to any team. You cannot trade me. So you therefore have to release me. I am not going to let you treat me the way you treated me at the end of this season and allow you to benefit with draft picks compensation. No. Hoorah, David Carr. Derek Carr. David Carr's one that washed out in Houston.
The Houston
Derek Carr. Great job. Way to do what you need to do. Now go and course correct your career at the Super Bowl next year. As long as it's with the Lions.
All right, that's not bad. I like that.
Who's your Who Cares?
Okay, I want to make sure I do this correctly. I'm very happy for the recovery of this man. I'm very proud and okay that Damar Hamlin is in better spirits. I'm very happy that he's recovered. I'm glad that his family's in a better space. He seems to be happy every time we see him on camera. My Who Cares is the pandering of the NFL and this fake facade that they've tried to put up that they care about players because you bring him to a bunch of games, because you shout him out at a bunch of commercials. It took him to almost die for you to pay and fulfill his contract. That is not going to sit right with me. In the last collective bargaining agreement, you took money on insurance away from the players. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they made their tenure longer for they would have to qualify for a situation like this. So they believe they have to play like 4 years compared to the 3 in order for their contract to be fulfilled if they got hurt. I'm disgusted and annoyed by seeing how much they've pandered and act like they've cared about Damar Hamlin, and they don't. They do not. Historically, we know the NFL does it. And I'm tired of seeing all this. I'm happy for him. I love him. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the love that's been shown for him. But it's phony coming from the NFL, and I'm tired of seeing it.
Man, anytime you call out Roger Goodell, doesn't it just feel good?
It feels amazing.
It feels so good.
It feels great.
It feels so good. Well, kind of in that same vein, sticking with football, here's my Who Cares. Can we stop with the whole punching the TVs thing? I don't know. I sent you a video.
On social media?
I sent you a video. It seems like, listen.
Bruh.
Just stop, okay? Yes. Just stop. One, if you are that emotionally invested in your team, you need psychological help.
Facts.
Second of all, stop with the whole, it's at this point, it's got to be staged. It's got to be staged because it's ridiculous that anybody would do those type of things. Don't tell me it's passion. It's lunacy.
Yes.
Do not tell me that you are a fan and I wouldn't understand because you're insane. You need to seek help. And if you need a number, leave a comment and I'll get to you. All right? Stop with the punching the TVs just because your team lost. There's much more to life than whether or not your team wins or loses. Don't ruin a TV and make yourself look like an idiot on the internet, which lives forever and never goes away.
Yes.
Can we stop punching TVs? Because the only person you're hurting is yourself.
That's it.
That player you think you're punching, they ain't feeling it. Okay? Let's stop. Let's be better. Just be better as human beings dealing with our emotions. If you got a woo-saw, if you got to take a deep breath, I don't care what it is. Stop punching TVs.
This is my favorite.
Let's stop punching
Who-Rah Who Cares from you.
TVs.
Good job. That was good. Punching a TV, and nobody does anything. That has to be staged, right?
It's all staged. It's ridiculous at this point. It's ridiculous at this
Sky
point.
fist right to this. Come on, bro. That's
I think my
gotta
favorite
be.
one. Nah, I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not even gonna.
You
say
want to
it.
give him the clout? No,
Nah,
don't do it.
nope,
That's fine.
not even gonna do it. That is going to do it for us here on your favorite Detroit sports show, Beyond the Box. He's Eric Vincent. I'm AJ Riley. We will see you next time.
Bye, Rihanna.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about her. That's okay. Maybe next time we can talk about her halftime show
Congratulations.
and
on
how
being a baby
disappointed
I
you
know.
were. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. My condolences. We will see you next time on Beyond the Box. He's Eric. I'm AJ.